intro. I don't care. Have you ever had an idea so catastrophically stupid that you would go completely bonkers if you didn't try to at least capitalize on it? You could see every alternate timeline stretched out in front of you, and you would begin to weep, simply thinking about every possible outcome where you didn't give it a valiant attempt. You stop and ask yourself, do I want to attempt this and do mental damage to myself by risking something so foolhardy? And you lie awake at night, utterly restless, just hoping that the idea slips away from you and you never have to be burdened by these types of thoughts ever again. No, just me. I figured. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And also welcome back to a new article and video series that I'm calling So You Don't Have To, where I take an entire band's discography, I listen to it front to back, up and down, diagonal to and I give an honest breakdown and critique of the material. Normally this isn't an idea that seems like particularly daunting, or even something that seems like out of the ordinary for somebody to want to do. However, like most things in my life, I refuse to make this easy. So I decided to give myself a hard set of rules that I have to follow for stuff like this. The rules are pretty simple. The band I choose to cover needs to have a minimum of at least 5 full-length records. I have to listen to the band, and only the band, for the entire duration of how long it takes to write this. I have to listen to each album at least once for joy, and at least once for critique. I need to cover and discuss any interesting stories or controversies involving the band. And finally, and maybe the most importantly, the band has to be absolute dog shit, at least in terms of the public eye. So without further ado, I can announce, drum roll please, I listened to every Five Finger Death Punch album. So you don't have to. Out of all the bands that I've ever listened to in my entire life, this band in particular seems to get the most targeted amount of hate out of any other band ever. All I ever see online, and also in person, is like Five Finger Death Punch sucks. Like, they're in a very particular tax bracket of hate with, like, Nickelback. I like to think I can be pretty open-minded about music. I like to think that I can find stuff to listen to when other people think it sucks. And I distinctly remember actively enjoying the first 2 records that they put out. I was a little kid in 2007, and I was like, these guys are the next big thing. And I'm pretty sure that they ended up being a big thing, if their Spotify monthly listener count is anything to sneeze at. As of this writing, they are currently sitting at 6.9 million monthly listeners. And that's not even accounting for other things like Apple Music or fucking Tidal. But 6.9 million people per month listen to Five Finger Death Punch. That's like the population of New York City. So clearly the band is doing something right, I just don't know what that is. Well, if I'm going to be doing this, I suppose I should be talking about the band itself. Honestly, I'm just going to read what Wikipedia says about them. Five Finger Death Punch is a heavy metal band that formed in Las Vegas and currently consists of vocalist Ivan Moody, guitarist Zoltan Bathory, that's a cool name, and Andy James, bass player Chris Cale, and drummer Charlie Engen. The band is currently signed to Better Noise Records, I think that's still the case, don't quote me on that, and currently have 9 full-length albums under their belt. They have toured with bands like Korn, Godsmack, and Megadeth. 2 of those bands are pretty good. It's not this one. At all. I was initially skeptical about choosing this band as like my opening attempt at doing this new series. I was honestly going to cover like Nickelback or Kiss or Papa Roach, but like that kind of feels like going after low-hanging fruit. But which don't get it twisted, low-hanging fruit is still sweet, and I'm going to be picking that from the branch. This one's probably next. But Five Finger Death Punch feels like the perfect 5-finger punching bag. They all present themselves like pretty tough guys. I'm pretty sure they can handle any criticisms that I'm going to send their way. As I mentioned earlier, I used to think these guys kicked ass. But I was also in high school and my frontal lobe hadn't, like, fully developed yet. And, yeah, I liked the alpha male aesthetic. that they were presenting at the time. It was 2007 and I was very much in the closet. Happy Pride. But like around the time I graduated, I kind of, thank God, grew out of that type of music in favor of arguably more cringy things like Coheed and Cambria and the Mars Volta. I never really went back to like that sort of like military metal thing they had going on. So when I hit play on that very first record, boy, that was a treat. I had to redo some of my angles. I realized you can only see like this much of me, you couldn't see my hands, so I had to switch it up real quick. This will be for a better viewing experience. You can actually see when my hands are slightly moving as opposed to just seeing like... In full disclaimer going forward, I apologize for this. I said I was going to get a new microphone. I did. But I didn't read the fine print, and it wasn't compatible with my camera. It was for smartphone usage. I'm stupid, and I ordered an actual microphone that will work with my camera, so... Keep in mind, I'm a 33-year-old man with basic functional access to the internet, and basic functional access to my own brain. Album 1, The Way of the Fist, 2007. The very first thing I picked up on when I hit play on this for the first time is that a lot of these songs are actually really fucking cool. But they all sound like shit, if that makes any sense. Like, I understand it's a debut record and everything. Like, that is not lost on me at all. But that's like no excuse for all the songs kind of like blending into each other and sounding like one long song. The production is super muddy and it's really all over the place. So like, it's not a problem with the songwriting, it's a problem with the production. That was just the era at the time, that's what all the bands were kind of going for, so I can't fault them for going for that too. And that's not to say that there aren't songs that actually stand out on this thing. Songs like White Knuckles, Never Enough, and I think Can't Heal You are fucking bangers. It's weird because those tracks in particular feel like they were recorded in like a different session than like the rest of the album was. And in the specific case of Never Enough, I think that was recorded in a different session, like a different batch of sessions or something, because I think they did that for the deluxe album, or the re-release. I think that was an extra track. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but like that would explain why it actually sounds better than the rest of the album. And the fucking bleeding, might be one of the like best heavy songs of that era in music ever, hands down. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, that could be one of the best songs, the best song on the record. For sure. But that might be one of the best songs in heavy music in that decade. Everything about that song kicks ass. The riff, the melody, the drumming, the lyrics. It's probably the one high point in Five Finger Death Punch lyric history that they'll ever have. And it's wild to see that that's a song that was just sort of like tossed at the front of the record somewhere like that. Because other than the bleeding, that one song, the lyrics on this album are gutter trash. I'm not really going to get into what the lyrics are that are so bad on this record, for the most part, because there are like more egregious offenders in records down the line. But just like, imagine you're having a conversation with like your really racist uncle at Thanksgiving right before Obama takes office, and you'll kind of get the gist of the lyrics on this thing. He also uses the word on a song, which, you know...
Yikes.
And I don't think he's using it in like a people used to call me this, and now I'm like taking it back kind of way. He's using it like, you are a He's calling someone that word. The dude really said this into a microphone. I hate it, can't take it, wanna break your fucking bones, no mercy, you should have left it all alone.
He's so scary. He's the big boy, he's so scary.
Album 2, War is the Answer, 2009. Okay, so right off the bat, one of my most immediate concerns, probably my only real concern, was addressed. The mixing and production on this thing are light years ahead of that very first record. Thank fuck. Also, somebody in that room learned what a fucking guitar solo was, and then they just let that dude off the leash. Like, they went to prove that they could shred. They dropped that, like, pseudo breakdown shit that they were trying to do on that first record, and really just let the riffs fly. I'm really glad that they started doing like thrash metal worship on this album, because it makes for great riffs and great leads, and it's incredible gym music. Yeah, the lyrics still like blow dick, but like I got a crazy pump at the gym listening to this record, man. It's gonna get some points for that. It has to. I guess it was around this time that Five Finger Death Punch started doing a lot of like festival circuits, which is a great way to get some quick cash and sort of build on your audience. Fair. They infamously, I have it right here in my notes, right there, that they played at Rock am Ring in Germany in 2010, where like half the band, more or less, got detained in Germany on some boo-boo gun charges. I mean, who would have thought that making yourself look like a paramilitary group would draw the ire of the German government? Because they've never had that in their history before. They also, it says right here, they also played the Download Festival that same year, and they had to cut their set short because too many people were crowd surfing, and I guess it was like breaking shit. That's actually pretty cool. This was the album that sort of launched them into the mainstream. Hilariously enough, it was the cover of Bad Company that I think did it. And deeper into their discography, we'll talk about it, they have a lot of interesting cover songs in their repertoire. And despite making some like odd lyrical changes, I do think that it holds up. I think it's still really good. Like, I found myself bobbing my head to it rather begrudgingly. It's that damn coffee. Whew. The album is really well performed too, I'm gonna give it that. You know, I'm a thrash metal guy, they're doing a lot of thrash metal guitars. If I could get like an instrumental version of just this record, that would be like cake to me. Because I just cannot get past Moody's just bad lyrics. Whoever gave that man a pen should be sent to jail. Album 3, American Capitalist, 2011. When I initially looked at the title of this record, I really had this thought in my head like, oh, maybe the band's politics had changed. Nope, that was just my imagination. No, they're still leaning hard into that like weird alt-right, right-wing, libertarian bullshit motif. Because like, yeah, well, I think that type of political leaning and belief system is like dog shit. The whole fuck the world, you're the problem attitude is so tired. From a band like this, I don't want any introspection. I really don't. That is not what I'm here for. At face value, like as a whole, it's a pretty fun listen. It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like a mid-career Slipknot album, but like without anything between the ears. You know, this is a band for people without the ability to self-reflect. And that's fine. That's what I'm listening for. I get it. We're a part of this world. I'm on this journey. And for the first time, I'm probably not completely disgusted by the clean vocal performances. They are surprisingly well performed, and they don't sound like they're being sung through a tin can. I'm also of the opinion that the overall songwriting took a massive leap forward, especially on the ballads, much to my dismay. There's a lot of big hooks that stick with you, and there are a lot of riffs that are really air guitarable. A couple of things to mention that happened while they were in the middle of this album cycle. This was the first album to feature current bass player Chris Cale, following the departure of original bass player Matt Snell. Sometimes you can tell when somebody's been replaced. You can't tell on this thing. And around the end of the album's run, probably somewhere in like 2012 or so, is around the time where Ivan Moody opened up about his struggle with alcoholism. I guess his drinking was so bad that he almost got fired from the band. I'm not going to make any jokes about that. I can relate in my own way to addiction, and I will leave it at that. Albums 4 and 5, The Wrong Side of Heaven and The Righteous Side of Hell, Volumes 1 and 2, 2013. There are only 3 bands on this planet who should be doing a double album. Coheed and Cambria, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Outkast. So going into this, I was extremely apprehensive. Why the fuck wouldn't I be? I've heard 3 records of the most inane, chud shit. And now I gotta lock in for 20 songs? Put me against the fucking wall and fire away, Captain. I suppose I should mention that this was like when I kind of fell off from the band. I was not listening to Five Finger Death Punch in 2013. That was just not happening. I had more things to worry about in 2013 than listening to Five Finger Death Punch, like commuting to Boston for work.
Or dealing with a girlfriend that cheated on you a lot.
I did not have time to check out the Five Finger Death Punch double album. Which, you know, in hindsight, it's kind of a mistake because this thing kind of rules. I mean, like, it's not good in an overall sense, but in terms of how things sound, it's great. Production-wise, I think this is the best album that they've ever done, will ever do, and all the performances are super tight. And they got, like, guest features on this record that are fucking crazy. It says right here, they have Rob Halford on a song, they found a way to get Jamie Jasta and Max Cavalera. And none of these performances felt phoned in, or just, like, tacked on. They were all phenomenal features. Blew my fucking mind. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are duds on here. Like, this suffers from what I call, like, double album bloat. The too many filler songs on this thing. This did not need to be 20 songs. Because, like, the highs are really, really high. But the lows are fucking underground. For example, the song My Heart Lied. Jesus Christ. It's like the musical equivalent of, like, a divorced dad begging to see his kids on Facebook. With these lyrics, can you see it through my eyes? It turns out you're not always right. You never had been. I knew it all the time. You knew it all the time. My God. That makes me want to run into a brick wall. Shut up. Go to therapy. Jesus fucking Christ. Album 6, Got Your 6, 2015. There was a moment when I was listening to this record where I, like, stopped and thought to myself out loud, I don't think I can actually enjoy this. No matter what I did, I just couldn't, like, let myself enjoy it. I just couldn't give a shit. And that's not even me saying that it's bad. It's really not all that terrible. It's not offensive to my ears. I just did not give a fuck. Lyrically, dog shit, as you would expect. I mean, like, it always was, but now it's somehow worse. It reeks of that, like, pre-Trump presidency sort of libertarian shit. Man, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I couldn't even really listen to this for critique. I just kind of shut my brain off in my ears and just listened to this album twice. It's commendable that they were able to create art that actively took away from the listener. If I have to say at least one positive thing, again, like always, the guitar work is great. It's like it's the one thing, other than bad lyrics, that is consistent. Also, there's a genuine breakdown on this album, on the song Ain't My Last Dance? Yeah, Ain't My Last Dance. And it actually rules. It is just a massive shame that you can hear the downgrade in songwriting. It's like a huge step back. It sucks. Like that sucks. I mean, he hasn't said in a while, so I guess that's a big step forward. You know, that's good at least. I mean, given where we're going here politically, I wouldn't be shocked if it made a comeback. This album cycle in particular reads like a Clive Barker novel. Like, this shit feels like Hellraiser. In April of 2015, Ivan Moody was arrested for committing domestic violence on his then-wife, allegedly using a jiu-jitsu hold and threatening to kill her. It obviously, thankfully, led to a divorce and a restraining order. Thank fuck, because finding this out really bummed me out. Obviously, because domestic violence is awful and bad, and especially using a jiu-jitsu hold, like, Jesus Christ, just like, your name's Five Finger Death Punch. Like, how hard is it to just go, like, and then leave it at that? You had to, like, put her in a fucking hold? Like, you're a fucking freak, man. Finding this out, like, I almost gave up on the whole thing. I'm going to continue this video, and I continued my research in my article and my whole thing here. But it is forever fuck Ivan Moody, piece of shit. And then between 2016 and 2017, he had a couple of drunken incidents at shows that led him to go to rehab for alcohol addiction, which is good. Still hit your wife. Piece of shit. Album 7, And Justice for None, 2018. I managed to get through 3 whole songs into this thing before I let out an audible groan while I was sitting at my desk at work. I was almost impressed with what I was hearing until I got to the song called Champagne, spelled like champagne, which isn't only a terrible name for a song, it is filled with some of the most boo-boo, poor me ass lyrics I've ever heard. I never cared about the money, never really needed fame. You think it would have changed me, but I've always been the same. My label tried to sue me, TMZ tried to screw me, Blabbermouth can fucking suck it, cause they never fucking knew me. Good night. Then that song makes me feel insane, because later on the track list, we have a song called I Refuse, which might be the best thing that the band has ever recorded since The Bleeding. Back in, I don't know, let me check my notes. Oh,
2007.
Like, now, I understand that, like, wanting decent lyricism out of this guy is sort of like wanting the sun to feel cold, but, like, fuck, man, that was whiplash-inducing. They also covered an Offspring song, Gone Away, and they stripped it of, like, any sort of juice, any sort of, like, emotional nuance that the original song, like, held. It was stripped of all emotional resonance. Like, how is this record so tone-deaf? Like, if I'm going to say anything about this record, because, like, I feel like I have to give it at least a participation trophy, is, like, the vocal melodies are really well sung, and they're well put together. He sounds more and more like Corey Taylor than he ever has. Which it doesn't seem like a positive statement, being like, hey, I know you're a completely different vocalist, but you only sound good when you sound like a better vocalist. This was also, I have it here, this was also the final record featuring founding drummer Jeremy Spencer, who left the band to undergo back surgery and just kind of never came back. It's understandable. Drummers having bad knees, bad backs, I fucking get it. He was then replaced by the current drummer, Charlie Engen. And then Jeremy Spencer went on to do that weird psychosexual band that I think they changed the name to something else, but you did this, you looked like this. This is an album that you did, my brother. Come on. Album 8, Fate, 2020. Holy shit, we have a good record. We fucking did it. We used to pray for times like this. Finally, some good fucking food. Yeah, this is actually a really solid record. The addition of a new drummer that's like actually talented is a huge plus. You know, gone are the days of just like double kick patterns and like a military march beat. Like they found a way to modernize their sound overall without sort of sacrificing the death punch sound. Which like is impossible for bands to do in a way that like fits. I gotta give credit where credit's due. That's hard to do. They nailed it. Good for them. Honestly, good for them. They brought their sound into the modern era and didn't like throw away what made them unique. Great. Awesome. You know? Great. They were also able to pull out the intro, in like instrumental intro into first song moment, that sort of like segue, that gap bridging. That's also really hard to pull off. Like a band that I go back to all the time that did it perfectly, is still like the benchmark for me in the modern era, is like Pierce the Veil on Collide with the Sky, where they started here, went right into here, and it was perfect. That's what they did here. And the riffs on this thing are fucking gross. It's like they saw what they were doing before and actively decided to change it up. It's a very commendable effort. And the lyrics are not total horseshit. Color me surprised. Like, it's a lot of what you expect, but there are like deeper topics explored here. Like all throughout the track list too. Like, it wasn't just like a couple songs here and then some shit. It was like pretty consistent throughout. It was a strange amount of introspection from this guy. Maybe it's because of the sobriety, but Ivan Moody did explore some deeper topics on this thing, and it's like, oh great, you decided to kind of eschew the military metal shit, the bravado shit, to actually cover topics that matter to you. That's awesome. The songs I fucking hate though. Like Living the Dream might be one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my entire life. And every ballad on this thing, it sounded like every pop country song that came out in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. Like this type of shit. This is also the last record to feature longtime guitar player Jason Hook, who was replaced by current guitar player Andy James. Album 9, Afterlife, 2022. I never thought that I would actually say the words, wow, this Five Finger Death Punch is super radio friendly. Which is saying a lot because the band's entire career has been radio friendly. But now it's like turned up to maximum overdrive. This might be like the band's softest work yet. I'm talking like 6-ply, Charmin Ultra toilet paper on the bear's butt soft. And I kind of dig that. I kind of think that's cool. Like, they've been doing the macho shit for, fuck man, almost 2 decades. Like, lighten up a bit. You know? Like, take the fucking camo pants off, man. Put on some chinos. There's like honest and legitimate songwriting on this thing outside of like, I don't know, chug riffs and double bass, which is pretty cool. Like, I could put this on in the car and not feel embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty jarring, to be honest with you. It veers so close to being like straight up pop rock at times. It's like almost unnerving. It's like I'm in the last 30 seconds before like a slasher villain comes up and chops my ass off. It doesn't help that this entire project just kind of feels like a Stone Sour throwaway album. Kind of like the last Stone Sour record was. Zing! And like just when I thought I was out of the shallow waters of narcissistic lyricism, I found a way to get immediately dragged into the deep end and drowned with dog shit. Like, all of the deeper topics covered on the last album immediately got thrown out the window. We're back to square one. It's like nothing changed. I was being showered in mediocrity. I feel like this was the band's attempt to show like a softer side of themselves. Whether it was to garner a new like fan base, or they were just tired of doing like closeted homosexual fake alpha male bullshit, I don't know. Like, it's interesting to think about now that they have this new guitar player in this new lineup, the current iteration of the band, you'd think that they would have sort of a war is the answer moment, where they just let the dogs off the leash and they go all out, the heaviest, thrashiest, chunkiest thing they've ever done. And they're like, let's make pop music. Also, I'm not sure who let the band dress like this for the album run, but they need to fire that person. Because... So that was Five Finger Death Punch's entire discography, and overall, I feel confident that I can give this band a, drumroll please, 4 out of 10. Okay, I knew I was gonna have like major issues here, not just with this massive undertaking, but also like actually having to listen to the band's discography. Because like I purposely created a list of bad bands, knowing what kind of comments or opinions I would have to read or hear about. And I was really ready to go into this first attempt, like, absolutely foaming at the mouth, waiting to cut these guys a new asshole, just like, ready to cut, just guns blazing. I was just gonna dunk on these idiots for 9 fucking albums. I really wanted to hammer these guys, I really did. But when I actually, like, gave this band a proper listen, yeah, I couldn't really help how I felt. I don't think that they are an untalented band. At all, I don't. Sure, it's a lot of the same material being recycled, time and time again. To the riffs, to the drums, to the absolute abhorrently stupid lyrics. But there is also a certain amount of respect I have to give them for staying true to the music that they set out to make. I can't hate them for that. I hate them for harboring a domestic abuser. I think Ivan Moody is a piece of shit. I think Zoltan Bathory has terrible opinions on a lot of terrible, stupid things. And I think that a lot of them have political stances that I find to be repugnantly offensive. All that, like, that being said, this band has a lot of good songs in their catalog, which is a damn shame. I hate what they stand for and the causes they support, but I can acknowledge that the band does have talent when they need to have talent. But that motherfucker still said the F word. That's not fucking cool. How do I end this? I didn't think about ending this. Huh. So I listened to every Five Finger Death Punch album. So you don't have to. And I will see you in the next one.